Hello, hello, my friends. Thank you for finding time and join us live today. It's horrible weather here in Boston. We have rain, which is great for work. You don't want to go out and be outside. You want to work when the weather is like that. And it's great for plants, not so good for beach days, but that's something we do on vacations, right? And today we have two wonderful guests, and we will share together and discuss the research that we've done about video, and hopefully that will help you to create, to influence your strategic plans for the next year and your video strategy. So first of all, I would like to introduce Elena. Elena is head of content department at Social Insider, and it's completely up to her to create these wonderful researches year after year and talk to us as a partners. And for this particular research, Lena done something extraordinary. She analyzed 4 million blog posts with videos and other content. And if you think about how many 4 million is, if you want to read these blogs manually and will spend just 6 seconds for each, it will take you a year without sleep, without holidays. So it's a really vast amount of work, and it's only can be done digitally. So person cannot analyze 4 million blog posts, and it's extraordinary. So a round of applause for Elena. And please share with us with your location, where you're from, why you're interested in all of that, and your questions. If you have special questions for us, please post them here in comments right away. It's more likely we will notice them and answer. So I promise we will pay attention. Okay, so we are still waiting for people to tune in. And now I would like to introduce our second guest, Chase Chappell, sorry. Chase is a very talented serial entrepreneur. He is founder of 2 big companies, Chappell Digital and Search.io. Chappell Digital, Facebook media buying company, and they manage 15 million fonts inside the company and give advice for about 200 million ads. So he's really, really into ads on Facebook, has a lot of experience. And that's also why he is creator and instructor for Facebook ads coaching program and Facebook ads expert masterclass. And we will post the link to all these resources so you can take full advantage of all of that even after our life is over. And I really recommend to check his website and his courses, because he's really, really influence how people do ads right now on Facebook. So super excited about the research, about these amazing guests. And let's start with the first question. So we prepared 5. And hopefully, guys, you checked out the research on our blog ahead of time. So the question number 1 is, which outcomes have impressed you most in the research, and which of them perfectly resonates with your own experience and professional intuition? So let's start with Elena, because she's done this research, right? And what was surprising for the person who is already done it last year?
Well, for me, we know video is nowadays everywhere, and I personally watch more video on social media than I did before. I think started with 2020 when I had so much time to be indoor because it's more interactive, and I can find out a lot more information in such a short period of time. But I think from the research, what struck me most is that, well, live videos are nowadays a key element of every business and social media manager that wants to create a successful strategy, because, well, it shows a personality and it makes the brand more trusted. And this is something most brands or many brands can be a bit reluctant to, because they tend to post more polished content to be more in control of what they do. But this is not what other people want nowadays. We've seen how during the pandemic was, and we trust each other more to be more authentic.
Thank you. And Chase, could you share your insights? What struck you most?
Yeah, I would honestly think it's the longer form video right now for smaller, following counts. It's pretty impressive to me to see that, individuals who are posting longer form videos are getting better reach that way. And it makes sense on Facebook's part because they want people to stay on the platform longer. So obviously they might be more favorable towards longer form content. But with all the stuff that's going on currently with, TikTok, Instagram, Reels, and all the shorter form content, you would expect that, that would be the primary content you'd see predominantly on Facebook. But it's really not at the moment.
Yeah, thank you. It's very valuable, and I just totally agree. That's what struck me most. Couple of years ago, it was 20 seconds videos, which made the most impact for small businesses on Facebook. Now we are moving to 1 to 5 minutes. Just in 2 years, it's such a gap. It's really incredible. And if you think about our platform, we also follow you guys. You ask us to do longer videos, we support it, but now we see why. It's like universal trend on Facebook, on other platforms, that people want to do longer videos, and that's gonna be here for a while. It's just a trend which goes, the video length growing. Thank you. And the second question, so interesting, right? A second question. Oh, and another thing, it's which struck me most, that live video are more impactful for small businesses. I didn't realize that before. So people who wants to connect with small businesses, which is you guys, our audience, they tended to pay more attention to live videos because it's more authentic, I believe. I just tried to make sense of it. And second question, in 2021, Facebook prefers the longer video format as long as the video demonstrates a good engagement rate. And that's what we already touched on. 5+ minute video. What can you recommend, Chase? We will start with you. For marketers, what kind of ideas to show in this 5 minutes videos?
Yeah, I mean, you could do tutorials, explainer videos, you could do Q&A. There's a lot of things that you can end up doing that allow you to go past the 5-minute mark, connecting with your actual community, stirring up a conversation, then having it with the actual audience and seeing what they have to say, as well as if, you're trying to push a specific product or a service, you can end up getting into, the more tactical stuff where people want to, listen in longer so that way they can better understand that strategy or situation you're referring to.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that. Elena, your intake on the ideas, please.
Yeah, me too. I totally agree with Chase said. Maybe, behind the scenes moments, everything that shows your audience you want to involve them in your story and tell them not, I don't know, just the pretty moments or just the huge marketing stuff like, okay, we released a product, come buy it. No, just make them feel close to you.
Totally agree with both of you guys. Another idea which I was thinking about is, since I've participated in so many Shopify and that sort of conferences throughout the pandemic, a lot of people want to show live their products, and that's really working with the small businesses which are just growing and don't have such a authority as the larger ones. So if you can demonstrate live your product, that's another great idea. And of course, if it's small and you can show it and play with it, that's ideal. But even for services and products, whatever you can demonstrate in live video gains more trust from your audience. And I want to share a slide. That's how distribution of live versus recording videos goes on Facebook. And it was like 12% live last year. So it's really growing and growing very fast. And I understand this trend will continue for a while, right? Okay, with that, let's go to our next question. Live video shows steady growth. What top 3 advice can you give to marketers to successfully use live videos on Facebook? I think, yeah. Chase, can we start with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, one thing I know is like making sure you're scheduling it out, like actually preparing to have a topic that you're going to go over. A lot of times people might just go live on video because they hear they need to be live and so they'll go up, which is good. It's better than not going live at all. But in reality, if you plan, a specific category or topic that you're wanting to go over, you can build up, a list of people who might actually, join that live stream at the time that it goes live because they were able to put it on their calendar. So that would be really step one, is making sure you like prepare to have something that you can, go over and build up an audience for. So that way, when you launch that live video, you have a lot of users that are there, which is going to give you more reach all around and push it to a lot more people, because when they see the live video and you have a lot of people already on, that's going to be good. Second thing is being able to actually, go through what your, plans, to go over during the live stream, and also have a time for where you're actually going over questions and being selective about the questions too, because you might answer every question, but there might be specific questions that, are going to spark a lot of conversation in the comments, which are going to be hugely important. And then you also asking, individuals on the live stream their thoughts, because that's when you really start to see things push through the comments. And, everybody wants to have their opinion heard as well. So that's a good way to actually, lift overall engagements, because you're, one, engaging with, your following and the people who are now joining in, but two, they're being heard. And three, it's helping, the overall live stream reach more individuals altogether, which is really good.
Yeah, thank you. It's such a golden nuggets of wisdom. Go away. Because what I hear mostly, engagement, that's what drives sales, and that's what drives growth your audience, especially when it goes live. So please pay attention to what your audience said and what questions they posted, and try to provoke them, right, to make more questions. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Elena, what's your intake?
Pretty much what you said. I mean, yeah, knowing your audience is very important, because that way you can shape your content and the way you're delivering your messages to them. And also, I think it's very important to stay up, to actively search the trends, what people are searching for in Google or on social media or everywhere, because, well, let's be honest, being among the first ones that does something, you're going to have a huge impact. And if that happens, you succeed. If you succeeded in catching that wave, people will trust you more, because you're going to be a reliable source, and you're going to be, okay, I have something to learn from it. I know it's up to date. I know I can have my information in a pretty short amount of time. So also try to stay focused on that and deliver that information as quickly as you can to your audience.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's a brilliant advice from person who does researches. Research your lives. Make sure you are on trend. I totally agree. It's brilliant. And a little bit more from me, I think it's very important to be consistent. So the fact that you go live consistently is very important, because your audience rely on you to go live and show them your products, your new trends, whatever you do. It's like with exercise, right? If you go to gym once a year, that's not productive. But if you do it once a week, it's a completely different story. Something like that. And a little bit of advice from me. I think it's very important to invite guests to your life, like we do today, and that helps you to grow your audience and expose your brand to more people on social. And that's what social is about, right? About interaction with people, engaging, meeting new people. And I think we need to take advantage of that. Awesome. So let's go to the next question. Do you think Facebook stories can repeat the success of Instagram stories? And should marketers invest in them? Another thing, do vertical videos also work in the feed or for ads? I especially interested for ads when we because we have obviously Chase who knows everything about ads. So Chase, can you please address?
Yeah. So for Instagram stories and Facebook stories being as big as Instagram, I mean, it's yes, no. I don't see it happening in the near term where they're going to entirely catch up in terms of how many people are actively, viewing stories. But right now, I'm seeing more and more people actually going through the Facebook stories because they're getting used to it and they're using both platforms. So if you're on Instagram, you're more likely to also check, Facebook stories as well. And then if you're, only been on Facebook and you've used the story feature before, then you're likely to continue using it. But a lot of times, you're definitely going to see a lot higher lift on the Instagram side there. And as for vertical video, that content is certainly working great in feeds. I mean, every single time we're launching a vertical video, we're putting it in feeds and in stories, and it's performing just as well because the formatting of it gets adjusted. And when people click on the video in your feed, it's pulling up the full vertical content, which keeps people more engaged because there's less of a distraction on the top of your screen and the bottom of it before you scroll. So therefore, you're fully in tune with what's going on in that video, which is driving a much higher conversion rate on the actual Facebook ad side. And we're really pushing vertical video right now and transferring a lot of that content over.
Oh, wow. I didn't know. And I actually was genuinely curious about your response to this question because I was skeptical about vertical video working for ads. And now when you say it, we definitely will put more resources toward that sort of ads, vertical ads, and definitely will measure it. Wow, that's such a brilliant insight.
Another thing about that is if you have like square video, right, or a square image and you post it, a lot of times Facebook ads are just going to optimize it automatically for you by having like the coloring blend with the full vertical. So rather than it just looking like a clean cut square on stories, they're trying to blend it to where it looks like it would be fit for story placement in general. And most people aren't even picking up on the idea there because it's really just actually, coloring in the rest of the actual, pieces where that content wouldn't be, so that way people stay engaged. So like even if you have typical content, you don't even have to like fully switch over to creating vertical, but the Facebook ads are actually automatically adjusting it for you as well.
Right, and we have special layouts in Wave.video, so you guys can check it out and see how you can do something predictable, not like automatic expand of your square videos, but something that you can predictably edit beforehand when you want to use vertical videos. That's very important. Thank you. And Elena, what you can add?
I obviously don't have that much experience here. From my side, I mean, I haven't seen brands that use Facebook stories that much. Of course, there's always the possibility to test. I mean, if you guys feel that there's an opportunity, go there and test it. But don't try to make it work that hard. If you see good results, okay, that's a good. You can try it and go for it. But if not, just because Instagram stories have succeeded, it doesn't mean Facebook will automatically as well.
And I actually more optimistic about that, but we will see. The only thing I believe will differentiate Facebook story and Instagram story your audience. If you have all the audience, probably they will engage with your Facebook stories more, but many young people are not on Facebook at all. They only on Instagram. They don't even understand that Instagram is a part of Facebook, if it makes sense. So basically, if you are trying to reach younger audience, I think Instagram will perform better. That's my thing, because people don't, it's just the way young generation communicates through Instagram and Snapchat. Okay, and let me quickly show you this study about, so you can see the graph. So the yellow graph up there, it's vertical videos. That's what people use these days. I'm very surprised. Next goes black, which is landscape. And the last is square videos. So the last blue graph is the square videos. So I was like really surprised that vertical videos is so much above horizontal and square, but I think that's because they go into Instagram stories and they change to vertical automatically. But again, I might be wrong, but I really surprised by that finding, and I think it's significant. And it was question number 3, right? Now we go to the next one. No, it was question. So we are now at the last one. If a business has an unsuccessful experience with posting videos on Facebook or hasn't done it at all, what you can recommend? I really interested with this part of unsuccessful experience with posting videos. If you guys can say something about that. Chase, please.
Yeah, so with Facebook videos, there's a lot of things that can be unsuccessful. A lot of times you might not even get delivery at all. The thing is like, even if you're posting consistently, if you're consistently posting content that might not resonate, period, with your audience, it might result in really going nowhere. If you end up going into a tool like, Creator Studio, or accessing a feature where you can actually look at the engagements and see the engagement rates and how much there is a lift per video you post, it's important to pay attention to a couple of things: how long the video is that you posted and how long people are staying on it, and seeing where your drop-off points are within the video. You got to get down into the nitty-gritty data to really understand what's making an audience stay on your video. Why are they commenting? What are they saying if they do comment? And if you're not getting any engagements at all, then you might need to switch up your strategy entirely with how you're shooting your content. So you got to figure out, the happy medium to where you understand why somebody's staying on your video, how frequently you should be posting. And then once you find something that works, you just need to really replicate that. I wouldn't steer out of that lane once you get that item that you figure out that's really converting, because then you just want to stay there and reproduce that on a consistent basis over and over and over and over again. And your reach is going to continue to go up and up. There's literally creators that'll find like a specific format of a video that they really hit home with their audience, gets millions of views, and then they're like, okay, I'm not going to do anything else other than this. Then there's creators that'll get 100,000 views, and they're still switching up everything, and then they're like, my next video got 1,000. Why do I have such inconsistencies in the level of views I'm getting? Well, in reality is, if they just stick to the formats that they know are getting the high engagement counts and the ones that are converting most, they're going to see a more consistent level of engagement, right? So you want to actually replicate the things that do work. And then if it's something doesn't work that well, don't try to continue to do it. Start to, really get into the details of what works and stick to that.
Yeah, totally agree. Testing and figuring out what works and what not is very important. And again, I want you to pay attention to what Chase said in the very beginning. He said, if you post consistently. If you don't do post consistently, that's problem number 1 you need to fix.
Yeah.
Then
Exactly.
you don't see engagement. And I just want to reiterate a little bit on consistency. So last year, we have amazing experiment. It was 2 years ago, actually. So we had posted videos for every day for 30 days. And everyone who was in this challenge was seeing 400% engagement on Facebook and even more. So if you do post consistently, it does work. But you also need to address the needs of your audience, and that you can see throughout engagement. If some videos engaged, then go and produce more material like that, and research, right? What works. And Elena, maybe a few advices from you.
Yeah, well, going into that same direction, I just advise the people not to wait too long. I mean, if you saw good impacts on specific video combined with length, with copy, with tone of voice, just go in that direction. Don't waste your time and money, let's be honest, on trying until maybe something's gonna be better. Yeah, that's true. But also try to be realistic. That's why you have analytics. You have your competitors to compare yourself to, and the industry, because let's be honest, that's also important. We have to be realistic as marketers, even we are storytellers. So that would be my number 1 advice.
Thank you. It was super helpful. Again, I want to show one slide on the video length. and engagement rate that it drives, because it's relevant to what we just described. So see, the larger the brand, the longer videos they tended to post, and they see the more engagement on the longer videos. That's really surprising for me too. I would expect probably the same length and same engagement, but obviously for a bigger brand, longer video grab the most engagement. And speaking of engagement, today we have absolutely amazing audience. So not only guests today are amazing, but our audience. I see Brian Schulman, who is expert on LinkedIn videos, and he's done like gazillions of live videos, and engagement on his lives are always through the roof. They're so creative. I love them. We have Tim also join us, and people from Philippines, from Paris. It's unbelievable. Good to see you guys here. So let's dive into last part of our live today, questions from the audience. I see one question from Van. Sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly. Do you think 2 live videos a week is okay, as long as it's consistent? What we can tell to Van about that? What do you think, Chase? 2 live videos a week, is it enough?
Absolutely. I mean, you don't have to be going live every single day. 2's perfect. I mean, that's already, a good amount that's going to allow you to, one, give a break between when you post. So that way you can, come up with specific topics, and it's going to allow people to have an expected schedule for when you're actually doing it. So that's a good thing. Absolutely.
And Elena, can you tell something from the research perspective?
Well, we saw live video is increasing, which means the audiences love it. But yeah, on the other side of the coin, let's say, you have to take your time to make the most out of the live videos you're doing, which means having a good speaker, thinking through your questions and the development of the live. And this takes time, let's be honest. So don't overdo it just for the sake of it.
Thank you. Yeah, and I want to emphasize that one of our guests, Brian Schulman, he is definitely an evidence that once a week is good enough if you prepare to it. So what I would suggest, to put more time into preparation for your live videos versus doing more of that, because you need to deliver value. Yeah, and I think Brian does it amazingly. I'm waiting for his lives once a week, and all these creative ideas that he implements during this live shows. It gives, first of all, me a lot of inspiration of what can be done live, and he always pushes the limits. And I think it's just more about quality of your live video than about quantity. Consistency is important, but the content is also important. Okay, guys, any other questions? It's your last chance because we already moving to this half-an-hour limit. We only have 2 minutes. It's your last chance to ask some questions. Is it important to, okay, let me show this question. Is it important to pay attention to Facebook ads video impressions or the actual participations of the objectives? So it's a question about setting the goals, right? Clicks, learn more, likes. What should be your KPIs, basically, right, on your videos? Chase,
yeah, I think here for impressions are like people who saw, maybe the thumbnail or like the first frame of your live stream and didn't necessarily click. So if you're looking at impressions, the main metric you want to then pay attention to is click-through rate, because, you might have people see the actual, scroll past it or see the live stream, but not actually watch it or participate per se, right? So you want to see how many people are clicking through to that and then actually engaging with the video. And then over time, what you could do is, if you have like actual thumbnails that you put up for the live stream prior to it going up, you can actually see how many impressions it gets and then the click-through rate, and then start adjusting, that main frame that you have before you go live to find out how many people are seeing it on average, say it's, 50,000 people. Out of those 50,000, are we at a 5%, click-through rate, or are we at a 0.1? And let's adjust that first frame so that way we can get more people to click through on your live stream. And then that way impressions do matter, because at the end of the day, they really don't unless people are actually, joining in and actually participating. And you're going to build up some brand recall because, you might have some consistency in that first frame that people are like, oh, wait, I saw that live stream last week. I want to watch this one too. So that's you should really look into those specific metrics there. Then pay attention to your longer form ones, like how long are they staying on, when people are dropping off. And you could even give something at the end of the video, or every live stream, you could have, something that at the end that you always do specific, so that way people want to stay till the end, which is really important, as well as, having something new that you're doing the following week that people should expect, so that way they can look out for it when they do see it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I was wondering, so you manage so much different brands and give advices. What is the most typical KPI for ads, or for video ads, maybe specifically, that you see for your clients?
Yeah, so we pay attention to the purchases, return on ad spend. That's the main thing. We want to see what the return on investment is of something like that with video content. And then once we say, maybe we're spending $100 and we're making back $300, or we're spending $100 and we're making back $100. We want to see what point in the video that they're dropping off on. And that's going to tell us, and sometimes drop-off rates are actually necessarily a good thing, because they could be clicking through to go purchase. So there could be a certain point in the video where we know people are converting, which is actually fine with us. We don't need them to watch the full thing. Maybe they get the information they need in the first half, 50% engagement rate, but they're all converting at that point if they make it there. So, maybe people are dropping off, like 25% of people you lose at, the 10-second mark, but everybody converts around the 30. Well, you could end up snipping off that first 10 seconds of the video and then only showing the, that final stretch in your actual ad. And you could see a much higher lift because people are getting to the part to where most would have converted anyways. And so we've used that strategy to actually optimize, to find out what point people are converting and which points aren't necessarily even needed in the video that we can remove to actually, increase that process and flow through of actually people, going through and making the purchase. And that's really helped us. So we pay attention to, those metrics there: number of purchases, amount spent, return on ad spend, and then, at what point in the video do they drop off? And does that drop off result in a sale, or does that mean they left the video by going to the next thing in their feed?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. It was really helpful. I kind of started to think what we have to do with our ads. And this idea of watching and figuring out the actual time for engagement also gives you an idea of your selling points, because if people replay something or pay more attention to certain moments in your ad, that's where your selling power is, and you have to probably expand on it or just take a note of. That's, we call it aha moment, when people kind of want to, oh yeah, that's important, right? And they watch it again. Okay, thank you, Chase. We have a lot of other questions. How often do you go live? I'm curious, Chase, if you do go live consistently.
Yeah, so on a monthly basis, and then towards Q4, I'll really start pushing live heavily, because at the end of the year, what we'll end up doing is we'll end up coming up with a strategy where we're going to, one, give back to our audience for participating in our videos all year long. And so we'll take, a set budget that we have with our companies and say, hey, this is the amount of money we're going to spend on our audience by buying things and giving it to them. So everybody gets super excited towards the end of the year, because last year we gave away over, $25,000 worth of MacBooks to our audience for people who had computers that they were trying to optimize their ads, but people are struggling with, it loading fast enough. The videos weren't working because they couldn't edit, and they were just having a hard time getting content up. So they were spending so many hours trying to get their business going, but they weren't able to because they had such a, outdated, hardware. So we ended up, having this live streaming schedule where every week we're giving away these items to our audience, and we would cover very specific strategies throughout the video. And then at the end, for everybody who ended up staying, we would end up drawing from our audience, from all the people who are commenting and giving away an item. And people absolutely love that at the end of the year. And we have people that'll comment, around the beginning of the year saying, hey, when can we expect these live streams again? And everybody gets really excited because there's a lot of opportunities for, everybody to get back for what they ended up giving us, which is really helping us spread our channel and views.
And actually, if you think about it, it's a great tip for increase engagement, giveaway stuff during your lives. I really love it, and I've heard from many people, and I've personally been engaged by that a few times myself. And on top of that, I want to say, Lisa, I see the kind of questions you're asking. Thank you very much for your interest. We have every Friday, we have Feature Friday, where our developers show new features that we just published, and I really encourage you to check them out. We have recordings. And twice a month, at least, we do create something like here in community, when we invite speakers who share their wisdom with our community, and you are very welcome to participate in all of it. And maybe we should do it once a week, but then we noticed when we do it too often, the engagement drops. So it's, for us, it's something in between, which is important. Yeah, so another very interesting question. So that would be the last question, because at some point we need to cut. Is replaying an old Facebook Live will help in increasing page engagement? That's an interesting question from our audience, from Effie, and I think many people want to know answer to that question. Chase, what do you think? What is your experience?
I'd be curious to see what Elena would, say with this and what you're finding.
Right.
But for me personally, we've scheduled, we've seen tactics and strategies where people will schedule content that isn't necessarily alive, but it's scheduled as alive and it's just pre-recorded. It goes up, and then they're more engaged within the comments of people that are, commenting and engaging by responding much faster and getting to those comments very quick. But to use that as a strategy, yes, you're going to see a higher lift, but it's not necessarily as authentic or in real time. So, I mean, it's a certain strategy you can use if, you feel more comfortable pre-recording, uploading, and then engaging with people that way. It's just one of those tactics that, you can end up testing. But I've seen people do it, and they'll end up taking the pre-recorded content and scheduling it as a live across all of their channels, which gives them a boost in overall impressions. And then it acts as a video later on. After it's over, which is an interesting strategy, because you're getting a little bit of a piece early on that's not necessarily something you would have received before because it was scheduled out.
Thank you. And Elena, what do you think?
That's a very interesting question. Well, actually, we've tried a bit of this experience. We've held a conference. It's called Social Talks, and we've had a mix between live videos and some pre-recorded ones, because sometimes it's hard with the time zone. And actually, at our end, again, it depends very much on your business, on your audience. We've seen that in case of live videos, we had greater engagement opposed to pre-recorded ones. So it's up to the test.
Wow, that's really interesting. And I would add to it, theoretically, if you already had live video and you see a lot of engagement and people keep viewing it, so basically, if that live video is your unicorn and it's really drives some engagement already, then you can go and repeat it live again, because the fact that you go live notifies your audience, and if somebody else translates your live video in their feed, it also notifies their feed. So going live itself, it's very engaging scenario. So if you have some unicorn content that worth going live again and showing, yes, do it. But other than that, I would stick with advices of other experts and try to do something fresh and really interact with your audience. Yeah. With that, I think our time is up. And thank you very much for all these wonderful questions, for your time, guys. And Lisa, we also will have another live on Tuesday. If you are interested in watching more about Facebook videos, please join us. We try to go twice a month with industry experts and kind of let you know another intake on different subjects. But again, stay tuned. We post everything in our community. And Chase, thank you very much for your time. Elena, thank you very much for your time. And it's time to go.
Thank you for
Bye,
having me.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
It was a pleasure.